Rewilding, in my mind, is a connection to a place, environment, and see the environment and nature as one connected entity.
The way that I would define rewilding from an indigenous perspective is that it's returning things to balance, to a state as they once were, and things being in harmony. This is not just an indigenous thing, but it's a human thing, that we all connect, that we share this world together, and that it benefits all living things.
Well, I would say it's not only important to me, but it's important to the world. And virtually every species on Earth has a mutualistic interdependence. So what we're doing with rewilding here has immense effects, not just for me, but for the globe.
Rewilding to me is me going back onto the land to look for all the herbs that are there that generated that good soil to create that bioorganisms in the plants that generates my healing world. And that's so important.
We're excited to participate in the implementation of rewilding, partially by the interconnection of groups that have been far too long separated. Indigenous peoples, nonprofits, academic institutions, for-profits, government agencies, and things like that. And getting people on the same wavelength, talking to each other, learning from each other, doing things that make sense, but doing them together. And so that's how we take rewilding from the scale of being in my backyard to sort of nationwide or even across the entire globe.
So the greatest challenge for rewilding is funding. This is something we should be spending tens or even hundreds of billions of dollars a year doing. And in a non-extractive way. This should just be seen as a public good, a common asset. It's part of what allows the planet to flourish.
The term rewilding, I think, is something that Indigenous people understand. The course that we're discussing today is the way to do it, bringing both knowledgeable, professional Indigenous people together with non-Indigenous people that have the same concerns and want to address rewilding in a very sustainable, unique, and positive fashion. As Indigenous people, we understand what those mistakes were, and we want to fix that.
Everybody has a responsibility, integrity to care for Mother Earth and the land, and if we don't take care of it, then she's going to take care of it herself, which will eventually put us in our place.
I think an Indigenous-led rewilding project is one that enhances a tribe's sovereignty and powers of self-determination. Rewilding is an opportunity to expand the boundaries of tribal sovereignty beyond what we have right now, and that's really important to me.
It's the path forward. It's how we bring back water cycles. It's how we build resilience to climate change. And it's how we resurrect Indigenous culture and ways of being.
Instead of trying to replicate the entire ancient ecosystem, you actually introduce a few key species that then do that building for you. You can start rewilding by sort of planting native trees or native shrubs. That's really restoration, but actually in some places just doing that starts to bring wildlife back in, and you might detect later that it's become a rewilding project, and then you could get funding to really amplify that.
Communicating rewilding, I think, is going to be the primary challenge, and doing that in a very articulate way that's really inviting all those various parties to come to the same table. I don't want to leave this planet without trying to implement rewilding. I don't want to leave it to my 4 children. I don't want to leave it to my 2 grandchildren. I think it's time to do something, and I think it's time to do something now.
So this is the work of our time, and no one is better placed to do the work of rewilding on Turtle Island on this magnificent continent than the knowledge holders, the spiritual holders of the land. They need to lead this, and nothing could be more important.